On Action News.
Now, coverage you can count on. This is KYW News 3 at 6.
An incredible scene from Skycam 3. Tonight, parts of South Jersey remain underwater as floods force people from their homes and cause millions of dollars in damage. Good evening, I'm Stephanie Stahl.
And I'm Larry Kane. Cars underwater, bridges crumbling, a state of emergency in effect for Atlantic County, New Jersey. People who live there say they have never before dealt with anything like these devastating flash floods. News 3 has live team coverage with Beverly Williams in Galloway Township, Ren Scott over Pomona in Skycam 3, and we begin tonight with Robin McIntosh, who is live in Mays Landing. Robin?
Well, Larry, it's been a wet and worrisome day for the people here in Mays Landing, watching the water levels rise. The Egg Harbor River overflowed its banks, flooding dozens of neighborhoods, leaving hundreds of people stranded. To give you some idea of the damage here, this is the Route 559 over the Babcock Creek. For most of the day, the water level rose and undermined the foundation, and earlier today, the entire bridge collapsed. Piece by piece, chunks of blacktop and concrete that had been part of the Route 559 bridge over the Babcock Creek connecting Mays Landing with the rest of the world collapsed, leaving behind a gaping hole and miles of detour traffic. For residents of Mays Landing, a day to watch helplessly as water levels rose and spirits fell.
I came home from work and it was only about 4 foot deep in the basement then, and yeah, we tried to stop it. It just kept on coming in.
Brendan McCall and his family just moved into this house. Its streets turned into a wading pool where cars found themselves up to their engines in water. Police requesting motorists to
stay home. Right now, Route 40 is the only passable going in and out of Mays Landing. 322 is shut down. Summers Point Mays Landing Road, which goes into Summers Point, that's shut down.
The Atlantic County area is crisscrossed with streams, lakes, and rivers. But after 14 inches of rain, streams turned into rivers, rivers into rampaging torrents, and this is the result. Roads washed out, bridges collapsed, thousands left stranded.
The fire department and police were at the door, and they said that we had to get out within 3 minutes or the house might blow up because of the river coming up, and there was a gas leak.
Judith Watson began her Thursday morning at her home. She'll end it in this Red Cross shelter, unable to get home.
We're giving people alternate directions to get here, but unfortunately, the police are saying, not to come into town.
For Larry Boylan, who owns the inn at Sugar Hill, it was a day to watch his dreamboat sink at the dock and his business float away in a maze of detours and rushing water. Now back live here, the Red Cross has set up an emergency shelter for residents of the Mays Landing area in the Hamilton Township Senior Center. That's up here on Route 50. In the meantime, residents of Atlantic City, all the residents of Atlantic City who use the Atlantic City Municipal Water Authority are urged to boil water. There has been water contamination of the water treatment plant. So that's the message here. This flood is far from over, and the results of it are going to last here for months. That's a story live from Mays Landing. We'll go back to you.
Okay, Robin McIntosh, thank you. Road flooding has created a virtual moat surrounding Atlantic City Airport, but that's not the only transportation problem tonight. News 3's Ren Scott is live in Skycam 3 with more. Ren?
Good evening to you, Steph. Big problems at Atlantic City International Airport last night, and those problems continue right now. The major problem is the major access road to that airport is still very much underwater. Let's go down to the ground and give you this shot here from Skycam 3. You can see a taxi and several other cars still underwater. They have been that way since late last night. I can't tell you whether the guy in the cab ever made his flight last night. The airport closed last night just after midnight because power was knocked out to the runway lights. About 120 passengers were stranded at the airport overnight. Now, the airport opened again around 8:45 this morning, and it has been open throughout the day. You just have to know how to get there. You need to know the back roads to get there. It is open right now, but there is a catch. The runway lights are still badly damaged. They are not operating. So at sundown, around 8 o'clock tonight, they are going to close the airport. It will be closed once again overnight, and they will reopen the airport around sunrise tomorrow morning. Just one of the ripple effects of all the effects of this flooding around here in Atlantic County. The airport, about 12, 14 hours after the rain has subsided, still underwater, the major access road. One of the problems here in Atlantic County. Let's go back to the studios in Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you, Ren. Well, this massive flooding has prompted the governor of New Jersey to pay an important visit to the area. Late this afternoon, Governor Whitman came to see the damage firsthand. News 3's Bev Williams joins us live right now from Galloway Township with that story. Bev?
Yes, Larry. Governor Whitman is here at the Galloway Township office. She is conducting a press briefing at this moment. We'll have more on that a little bit later, but the people around here are still reeling from the effects of last night's storm. They tell me it was as though someone unplugged a dam and the waters went gushing through the township with a powerful force, a force like they've never seen before. Galloway Township in the eastern section of Atlantic County was one of the areas hardest hit by the driving rains. Damage is estimated at $40 million in the township. The Atlantic City Medical Center, Mainland Division, was completely closed to patients. They're now being transferred. Tilton Road, the main road to the airport, was submerged. The airport was shut down. And the Pomona Oaks housing development was devastated.
75 homes that received major damage from the water. 3 to 4 feet of water are in the homes at this time.
Nearby Absecon, this was the scene on Route 30. Water nearly waist high, trapped drivers inside their cars.
Bingo, we went down in that gully, and we were trapped in the water, and she was pretty calm, but I was getting excited. And we couldn't open the door because of the pressure of the water.
The man and his wife were rescued by a passerby. Also in Absecon, a luxury car dealership flooded out.
It was a shock that police called and told me the cars were floating out into the street. So came in last night, and water was quite deep, and so we just secured the place last night, and water's receded this morning, and we're starting to clean up.
And that's just about what everybody's doing here, pumping up and pumping out and cleaning up. And right now, Governor Whitman is continuing to conduct that press briefing. We are expected to get information momentarily about whether or not there will be state aid for the folks in Galloway Township, and they certainly need it because over 14 roads have been washed out, 3 bridges are down, we're told, and over 1,000 homes have been damaged. We'll have more for you tonight on News 3 at 11. Beverly Williams, News 3, reporting live from Galloway Township.
Okay, Beverly, thank you. So what caused the severe flooding in such an isolated area? David Rogers is in the News 3 Weather Center with more on that. David?
Well, certainly, Steph, what happened across southern New Jersey last night and early this morning was a weather scenario that doesn't happen all the time. Let's turn our clocks back and go back to July. We'll head west to Fort Collins, Colorado. Same exact situation happened. Storm cells regenerating over the same areas. This time, Fort Collins picked up about 30 inches of rain, numerous deaths and injuries. Fortunately for us, we haven't had any reports of injuries or deaths, but basically what happened was it's called storm training, or the training effect. We had the rain already in place throughout the early part of yesterday. Then last night, between the hours of about 10 o'clock and 2 in the morning, several storm cells kept regenerating over the same areas. Unfortunately, the communities affected, Cumberland and Atlantic County, some of those areas picked up as much as 10 inches of rain between 10 last night and 2 o'clock this morning. Here's how we break down the totals, and you can see who got what. Pomona, over 13 inches of rain. Millville had just about 10 inches. Vineland, over 7 inches. And in Atlantic City on the boardwalk, just about 15 miles away, over 5.5 inches of rain. So certainly a narrow band of activity. Most of the steadier rains have moved away. I'll have your weekend forecast coming up a bit later on. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Dave. See you soon. According to the National Weather Service, the last time the Jersey Shore saw severe flooding was back in December of '92. Now, this was the scene then in Atlantic City. A low-pressure system created driving winds that pushed tides 5 feet above normal. The flooding drenched homes and businesses and damaged the boardwalk.
And stay with KYW for complete coverage of the flash floods. We will have a complete update for you tonight on News 3 at 11. And of course, you can always get continuing coverage on KYW News Radio 1060.
And still ahead on News 3 at 6 when Stephanie and I return, the evacuation after a gas line break.
In recent hours, we've seen severe thunderstorms popping up from Louisiana to Colorado, from Nebraska down to Texas, and the rain still falling in the Northeast. Hello, I'm Dan Atkinson. Welcome to WeatherScope.
And I'm Janetta Jones. We are talking about the Northeast and some heavy rainfall. In fact, that's our top story. Show you what it looked like this morning in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It was a mess. Record rainfall, as much as 12.5 inches of rain fell in a short amount of time. That was a record for this particular area for the day, the month, and any month, actually, in Atlantic City. Traffic was at a standstill, as you can see. In Boston, it wasn't so much the rain that was a problem, although we did see scattered showers. We were talking about 30-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, throughout the morning hours, and folks were having a hard time holding on to their umbrellas because of this wind. It was really a big problem. Well, it was just like a classic nor'easter, if you will. And you can see that we still have an area of low pressure just off of the coast, still churning in that moisture for places like Cape Cod, Concord, on into Manchester and Burlington, even Portland still seeing some scattered showers. That's in association with the low just off of the coast. We have another low right here. So we're dealing with two different things. You can see the lines of showers and thunder showers moving through central and western New York State even as we speak. This is a broader perspective, gives you a better feel for the showers and thunder showers that we're talking about. Here's our low pressure system in the Great Lakes, and here we have the coastal low still churning in that moisture off of the Atlantic and right back on top of you. We could, by the way, see as much as 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of rainfall still with this area of low pressure. Hopefully not 12 inches of rain. We saw the heaviest amounts of rain overnight last night. It has stayed pretty cool, and factor in the wind and it felt even cooler, right? Boston, 61. 69 in New York City right now, 65 in Erie, and 63 for you in Detroit. Head down to the southeast, and it has been a very pleasant day in Atlanta and Nashville. Wow, 77. You're going to see a very nice weekend shaping up. Why? Because the front has already moved on through. It has pushed the heat and humidity out of the way, and we're saying hello to fall a little early here. Now, Dallas, you didn't get so lucky. The front has not moved through your vicinity in Richardson or Ennis or even Sherman and Denison, but we are seeing the heat and humidity to the south in Florida as well. And a trough moved through today, and we saw some pretty nasty weather. In Lake Okeechobee, boaters need to be advised. We have special marine advisories in effect for you, warnings I should say, and some more rain approaching Dade and Broward counties and the coastal regions. So that's what's happening in the east. Tail end of this front could get interesting, and Dan is going to tell you about that.
And thank you, Janetta. We take a look at the western portion of the country, and we do have in the west a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. We have so far not had any severe thunderstorms actually to develop within the watch area, but there is a flash flood warning in effect for eastern Pima County. We'll show you on radar the heavy rain falling over eastern sections of metro Tucson. Right now, though, a look at this severe thunderstorm watch in effect for central and southern sections of Arizona until 9 p.m. local time. In and close to the watch area, conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms, producing hail up to perhaps 1.5 inches in diameter, wind gusts as high as 85 miles per hour, brief heavy downpours, and frequent lightning as well. You can see here over the eastern portions of Tucson, not a very large cell, but nonetheless heavy rain falling from it, and a flash flood warning is in effect for eastern Pima County. And over New Mexico, thunderstorms have developed rather rapidly over the past several hours, most of them not at severe levels, but there is a new severe thunderstorm warning which has gone into effect in northeastern New Mexico for southeastern Colfax County and southwestern Union County. A severe thunderstorm east-southeast of Farley, moving to the southeast about 10 miles per hour. And earlier we had some heavy weather along the border between Colorado and New Mexico. That has since weakened, but storms are hefty in the central sections of Texas. And at this time, Beaumont, Texas, Jefferson County under a severe thunderstorm warning as that storm moves on toward the south, and it will also be affecting the coastal waters, so a special marine advisory is in effect for those coastal waters. Things fairly quiet now in Oklahoma. You did have earlier in the afternoon a thunder shower at Enid. Nebraska has had some heavy weather at about mid-afternoon east of Burwell, Nebraska. Golf ball size hail pounded an area. You've had severe thunderstorm warnings in effect earlier for Garfield, Nance, and Valley counties. They have since expired. At this time, heavy weather developing over southeastern portions of Wyoming here, southeastern Laramie County. Severe thunderstorm impacting the Cheyenne area and moving on toward the east-southeast. Temperatures in the west include 88 degrees now at Denver, 96 at Salt Lake City, San Francisco 74, 75 degrees at Seattle. In the Midwest, Chicago, where you've had mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies during the day, 70 now, 70 as well at Indianapolis, 64 degrees at Cleveland, and 85 degrees this hour at Bismarck, North Dakota. High pressure dominating much of the Mississippi Valley, but not suppressing precipitation for you over northern portions of Illinois, southern Wisconsin. Rain is more widespread, as you see, over the central Great Lakes region and circulating around a low pressure area, making its way on toward the northeast, but only slowly. And we take a look at the good evening forecast, and we find there that tomorrow morning we will have high pressure ridging all the way from Canada down into the Mississippi Valley, giving you a dry start to the day. Places like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Omaha,
Chicago, you may have a sprinkle. They're more likely over portions of Michigan, but dry weather likely for you around Memphis on down toward Birmingham and Atlanta. But low pressure tracking down the St. Lawrence Valley only slowly will continue to give you some wet weather in Michigan tomorrow morning. And as we get on toward midday, look for the rain showers to be scattered around Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York. Still dry through most of the Mississippi Valley, but you get into the piney woods of Texas, and at middle of the day, you could have some showers there tomorrow. And showers beginning to bubble up in the west midday, more likely during the late afternoon. In the heat of the afternoon, more scattered showers and thunderstorms in the western portion of the country. Cold front pushing into central Florida tomorrow, actually northern Florida by late in the day. That will be the leading edge of the cool Canadian air, which is spilling down into the eastern half of the country. And that is setting the stage for very nice weather in store for much of the southeast in particular over the weekend, with this front having gone much farther south than you would normally find this time of year, setting up for pleasantly low humidities, warm temperatures, but not as hot as they would be typically this time of year for places like Nashville, Atlanta, and Birmingham. Dry weather and very pleasant weather in store for the Mississippi Valley, down through the Ohio Valley into the southeast on Friday. But still more rain for you in the northeast, with that low still tracking slowly down the St. Lawrence Valley. And how much rain is likely to fall? Well, fortunately, not nearly so heavy, or we're not expecting nearly the heavy rain that we had last night at Atlantic City, New Jersey. Looks like light amounts from now through noon Friday across the Great Lakes into the northeast, a tenth to a half an inch of rain. Similar amounts over southern portions of Florida, but heavier amounts, as you see here, better than an inch likely from north central Texas on into western portions of Kansas. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be chilly for you in northern portions of Minnesota. Look for 40s around International Falls and on into extreme northern portions of Wisconsin. And high temperatures tomorrow, 90s in the western plains, but 50s and 60s in the clouds and showers in the northeast.
So once again, folks in the east are enjoying cooler than normal temperatures, while other folks, well, it's going to be hot.
That's right. And if the weather may affect your travel, stay with us for Travel Wise coming up next.